I remember we opened up in Cincinnati last year. 2 of the 3 were really close.
Yes.
And I was a mess in the dugout. And Davey was like, you got to calm down.
Get it together,
And,
man.
Yeah, he was like, you're not going to make it. Yeah. buddy, we got 158 more of these. You're not going to make it.
What's up, everybody, and welcome in to the 11th inning with Kolko and Zim, a brand new venture here on the Nationals platform. You can catch us on the Nationals YouTube channel. You can catch us wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Dan Kolko. Sitting next to me is Mr. National, Ryan Zimmerman. Zim, it's awesome to be doing this with you. Let's first start with how this all came about from your perspective, and what are people going to get when they open up the 11th inning when Kolko and Zim? What are we hoping to accomplish here?
Well, I mean, I think the idea kind of came about when we did the World Series Zoom call. And both me and you have had so many people say that was so much fun. We had so much fun.
Yep. Everyone
that was on that had so much fun. We've kind of always talked about how can we do that again and what can we do? And, you know, this is the idea that came about. So I'm excited to do this with you every other week and, talk some baseball, talk some Nats baseball, obviously, but I think more importantly, like, bring some fun guests on, bring some of my friends on, bring some of your friends on, some people that obviously have ties to DC or to Nats baseball, but also just to the city of DC or the community or, pretty much anything involving the DMV area, and give, our listeners some fun content, maybe some stuff that they would never get anywhere else.
Yep.
And I think the main point is to have fun, to laugh, to joke, to have some good information about baseball and sports, but more importantly, to have a good time.
And we want to pull back the curtain for people as well. I think that was part of what made the Game 7 Zoom call so enjoyable from a viewing perspective, from a fan perspective, was they got to see how you and your teammates really interact behind the scenes. And that was a blast. Now, we might be recording this with significantly less bourbon in our systems than we had when we did that Game 7 Zoom call. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe we do like an 11th inning at 11 o'clock sort of thing, or... Yeah,
what are they? I mean, it's 5 o'clock somewhere is what they say, right? If we're getting too boring, maybe we just have a drink towards the end and spice it up a little bit. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I think one of the most important things is we want the viewers, the listeners, we need you to be involved.
Yep.
And obviously this is the first episode, so it's kind of hard to be involved when it's the first episode. But moving forward, we're going to create some sort of mailbag, comment section, place where all of you can write in questions or maybe even share a story or something that happened with me or Dan. I don't think I can emphasize enough that we want this to be fun.
Yeah.
We want this to be unlike anything else that we've done. And it's fun for us to do something new. It's a little scary, but here we are. So I can't emphasize it enough that this is fun for us to do, but it's something that we want for the fans. And hopefully it'll bring some new fans into Nationals Park that might not have ever come before. And, you watch this and want to come to a Nats game.
You mentioned Nats guests. We're going to have a guest join us in a little bit, Doolittle, the Nationals Pitching Strategist, teammate of yours in college, teammate of yours on the World Series team. We're really looking forward to this. Since we initially started these conversations, Zim and I have had phone calls. We've been bouncing text messages off each other. We're fired up for this, and we hope that you guys are as well. As mentioned, we're going to have Doolittle join us in a little bit. But first, Zim, let's get into the first segment that we're going to have every episode. By the way, this will be every 2 weeks. We're going to bring a new episode to you. So get that kind of into your time routines, that every other Friday we're going to drop a new 11th inning episode for you. And every time we're going to start our episode with a segment that we call, What Do You Got? Now, in baseball circles, you hear that a lot. Somebody will walk up to you and they'll say, Zim, what do you got? And it's just kind of, it tees you up to share whatever's on your mind, right? Like, it's just kind of a greeting and allows you to say what you're thinking. And so that's going to be the name of our opening segment every week. What do you got? And Zim, I'll tee you up for your first What Do You Got? We're recording this from National Spring Training. We've been down here for a few days. So with all of that context, what do you got?
What do you got? What do I got? For me, it's all about the young guys this year. And I think, I still talk lots of baseball with fans, people in the grocery store. And the biggest thing is, like, God, why didn't they spend money this offseason? Why didn't they go out and get a big free agent? And, I'm always for spending money. I think, to their defense, we had some good payrolls. We won a lot of games. But I think also this is a huge year for these young guys because it's really going to sort of define who they are as players. And I think you're going to get a whole year of Dylan Cruz, a whole year of Wood, a whole year of C.J. Abrams, another whole year after the learning year he had last year. Obviously an all-star, second half stuff happened. It's in the past, move on. Mackenzie Gore, first part of the year, all-star, struggle in the middle, finish strong basically at all-star level. As you're building a team and as Riz and these guys are building the team for the future, it's really hard to go out and just spend money when you don't really have or know what your exact plan is. When you have this many young guys, having 3 months of a good season doesn't mean you're going to be a big leaguer for the rest of your career.
Right.
So we want to see another whole year of these guys. Hopefully, 5, 6 of them show up this year. They have great years, and we're like, all right, Jake Irving's a guy. Like,
that's a term you hear
a
lot.
Like,
he's a guy for us.
Is he a dude?
Right.
Is he a guy? Like, for me, this year is all about seeing what you got, seeing how these young guys continue to develop, hopefully seeing most of them, develop well and become everyday big leaguers.
Right.
And then you go into the offseason with an exact plan of how you want to attack free agency, and you're just so much more efficient and you know what you want to do.
You could go out and spend $80 million on a third baseman and then find out, hey, Brady House had a monster year and this is our third baseman. And he hasn't done it at the big league level yet, but I know you're high on the kid. And that's the type of thing that you're talking about. My what do you got is kind of an extension of that in a way. And it's that you've got these young guys, but towards the end of the season last year, especially after Lane Thomas got traded away, Jesse Winker got traded away, it was pretty much just young guys or guys that maybe are into their mid to upper 20s, but hadn't experienced a full major league season playing every day and producing. And that put a lot of pressure on James Wood and Dylan Cruz and Luis Garcia Jr., both on the field, but also just operating their daily life as big leaguers. This offseason, you get Nathaniel Lowe, you get Josh Bell. Pitching-wise, you add Michael Soroka to that rotation. You bring back Trevor Williams. You're supplementing the young core that you are developing and figuring out who you've got with guys that can lighten the load a little bit so that James Wood doesn't have to go into opening day feeling like the weight of the entire organization is on his shoulders. Yeah. He's got a silver slugger hitting at, the first base spot that is going to protect him in the lineup. He's got Josh Bell, who has 30 homer power and as the DH this year knows he's here to slug. Doesn't have to, spend much time focusing on necessarily other things. I feel like that is going to make an enormous impact on these young guys that you're talking about on the field and then probably off the field as well.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. I mean, veterans, we had such a good mix in that 2019 team of veterans and young guys, and we're starting to see that here now. And I think the biggest thing is Josh Bell knows there's going to be 2 weeks where he doesn't hit very well.
Mm-hmm.
James Wood has gone through a little bit of that, but as a young person, when you go through that for the first couple of times, you panic. And someone like Josh or Nathaniel Lowe can be like, hey guys, everyone does it. You're not going to get sent down.
Mm-hmm.
Just relax. Just keep doing your routine. Keep doing your daily work. Eventually you'll break out of it, and eventually you'll go like this. So I think it's obviously having them here to lighten the load for production, but also teaching them how to be a big leaguer, how to be consistent, how to do the same thing every day, whether you're going good or you're going bad. And it's really hard to do that as a young guy if there's nobody there doing it, like showing you the way, maybe going through the same thing, struggling a little bit, but going down to the cage at the same time every day. So, these guys are going to be so good for the young core to just learn how to be pros. And, I think even further off the field, like, making sure they do team dinners, making sure when you have days off on the road, maybe you go do something.
That stuff matters, doesn't it?
It matters so much more than anyone can imagine. And, I always say we're with these guys more than we're with our family for about 7 months. So, you have to like each other. You have to work together. You have to, want to ground out to second base to get the guy to the third because you care about that guy.
Right. That you can't take that ground out to second to arbitration,
Yeah.
but it'll help your team win a ball game,
But
and that matters.
You want to win, and you want to get the guy on deck up there with a guy on third and less than 2 outs, so you can score that run and go up 5-3 instead of 4-3 going into the 9th inning. Like, these things matter, and that's how you win games. The big leagues are so hard. You have to want to win as a team, and doing things like that with the veterans, I think, teaches these young kids how to do it. So then when it's their turn to be those guys, your core group is now ready to lead.
And you played with Josh Bell. You've gotten to know Nate a little bit.
Yeah.
They seem like the type of personalities. They could be veterans that, we're just kind of boring dudes, or that, maybe a little out there. They seem like the type of personalities that can help these younger guys navigate the ups and downs as well. They're really good dudes.
Yeah, and I think kind of opposites, which is nice. They're both, funny. Josh is funny in his own way. Josh is more like the steady Eddie, not that much emotion, definitely dry humor, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
And then Nathaniel Lowe is like, I think our fans are going to love this.
Yes.
Guy. Like,
yes.
Kind of looks like a Super Troopers cop. Or
Mitchell Parker's dad.
Or Mitchell Parker's dad's a good comp. But also, like, you look at him and then you watch him swing, like, he looks bored. He's very Adam LaRoche up there.
Yep.
I played golf with him yesterday, and the dude barely swing. I mean, the similarities with Roche are high. Like, as far as personality, demeanor, level of urgency.
He's there when he's there.
He's there.
Yeah.
But also, like, gold glove, silver slugger. And, like, you need someone like that has had success, that can laugh, that can have fun. Because, like, if you take yourself too seriously every single day, I mean, you're going to go crazy.
It's got to be exhausting.
You'll go crazy. And, like, that's why it's so important to do those team dinners. That's, like I always said, like, have a beer with your teammates. Get to know your team. Like, where are you from? You have brothers and sisters. What do did you take any trips this off season? Like, really get to know your teammates. And then you start to care about each other. So then when you win or lose, it matters. Like, you're in it together. Like, you guys are realizing that, like, man, this guy's got, 3 young kids at home, and this dude's doing what I'm doing. He's sacrificing time with his family. Like, if we're going to do this, like, let's do this. Like, and that's how you become a team and become something special.
It's going to be exciting. I know that across the league, there are probably not a lot of national reporters or average baseball fans that say, like, oh, man, like, the Nationals are at the top of my list of teams that I'm excited about this year or looking at this year. I think this team has the potential to sneak up on some people and surprise some other teams out there.
Yeah, and they all play the game the right way. They're going to have to put pressure on the other team. They did. Riz and his group, as always, have done a really good job getting the most out of what they have. And, if you look at the offense last year, I think the biggest problem was not enough home runs. Like, you don't have the power. You don't have the threat of that 3-run homer. And it's just so hard to get 4, 5, 6 hits in an inning to score 3 runs. You go and add some of these people, like, Lowe at first has a chance to hit 20. DeJong at third, chance to hit 20.
No offense to Jacob Young, who should have won a Gold Glove last year. Pretty much everyone in the lineup, I would say everyone in the lineup, could hit 20 this year.
Yeah, and that's okay for, like, and now if Jacob hits 9th, he's basically your second leadoff hitter.
Yep.
I think he made strides last year learning what type of player he was. It's his job to get on base. It's his job to steal bases. I think as he continues to learn, he'll run into 10-plus homers as well. But it's his job to get on base.
Yep.
And steal bases and put pressure. And all of a sudden, if he's 9 getting on base, I don't know what the lineup's going to look like.
That's not your job.
Speculation.
That's
but
not your job.
If CJ's leading off or whatever you want, now CJ's basically a 2-hitter. Now you have 2 guys that could possibly steal 50-plus bases. That's one thing they did well last year. They put pressure on the other team. And now all of a sudden, you put pressure on the other team, you get people on base, and you have 4 or 5 guys that are legit 25-homer threats. It's a different animal. And, it's a tough division, don't get me wrong. But I think a lot of these kids learned a lot last year. They're starting to learn how to win. They learn that, like, the little things matter. So another full year of them doing that, like you said, I think, the possibilities are there. Now it's just up to them to take advantage of the opportunity and do it.
Well, there we go. Our first What Do You Got? That was pretty solid.
I feel good about it.
Yeah, me too. I feel good about what's coming up next. When we come back on the 11th inning with Kolko and Zim, we're going to welcome in Sean Doolittle and have some fun with the Nationals Pitching Strategist. Stay with us. Welcome back to the 11th inning. I'm Dan Kolko. This is Ryan Zimmerman, and joining us is Nationals Pitching Strategist Sean Doolittle, a two-time Major League Baseball All-Star, a World Series champion, but the greatest honor of all, the first guest on the 11th Inning podcast. That's got to feel really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to closing things out. Whether it
You're
went
our
good or
opener.
bad, I was going to shut it down. So I'm opening this up. This is different.
Yeah. First of all, what a shirt.
Oh, my Sublime shirt?
Describe it for the listener at home. Who's...
Yeah, for the people who aren't joining us on a visual medium, it's a Sublime shirt. It's original. It's vintage. I forget what year, 92? And it's got a big picture of Lou Dog. This was Bradley Knowles' Dalmatian, Lou, that toured with the band while they were playing. So
I used to listen to that music. Gosh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
Still listen to it every now and then.
Oh yeah.
Just spice it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So we've, Sean, got some sounds behind us as we're here at Cacti Ballpark of the Palm Beaches. We're down here at spring training in West Palm, and things are getting into the flow here. We're working our way towards opening day, and we're going to talk with you about some non-2025 national stuff, but we got to start with the group of pitchers that you have to work with this year. And Ryan and I were talking before you joined us and we started recording just about the depth that is present this year. And obviously there's a lot of talent, high upside, but there's a ton of guys that could make an impact on this team this year. How does that excite you and impact the job that you're doing on a daily basis down here?
It's awesome. I guess, this sound behind us, it's like a metaphor, right? Where we're under construction, right? We're building the foundation for the season right now. And to talk about our pitchers, man, like I could probably take up the whole podcast talking about how excited I am about our guys. And I certainly think that we've raised the floor quite a bit. The level of stuff across the board in spring training is really impressive. Obviously, you have guys that we're looking to take the next step. Mackenzie and Jake. Trevor. We want to keep Trevor. Pick up where he left off last year. The development of DJ and Mitchell Parker probably joining us a year ahead of schedule last year and making a huge impact. DJ and Mitch were both down here early before camp, and we've been working together since like mid-January, and it's been really exciting to see their progress. And early on in camp, they've looked really, really good. The future's bright.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I've obviously known you for a long time, and I just hope people know like how passionate you are about what you're doing right now. Like when I remember when I talked to you last year, and I'm like, how's it going? You're like, man, I'm like in it. I knew I was going to love it, but like I'm fully immersed in this. And like, that's your personality. And like,
I only have one gear.
I hope you know you're really good at it, but I think it's also important because there's so much data and analytics in the game now. And I think our organization has done a pretty good job of continuing to get to as close as we can to the top level and having the most resources available. Obviously, so many teams invest so much in this.
Yeah.
And you can invest as much as you want in it, and you can give as much data and as much information to the player.
Right.
But they have to know how to use it and digest it.
Yeah.
And, you had a guy like Max Scherzer that would show up every fifth day with like a stack of papers this high on his
packet,
chair. And go through it by himself in his mind, and then go sit with the catcher and make a plan. Well, he knows how to do that. The young guys might not know how to do it, and honestly, if they get that big packet of paper, it could almost be more detrimental than it could help them, because then it's overload and they're thinking too much. So I think what you're doing, as far as like, I tell everyone, like, it's almost like being a translator.
Yeah.
Like, it's a foreign language to them.
Yeah.
And what you're so good at is like, listen, this is what you're good at. This is what our numbers say you're really good at.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't throw that pitch all the time.
Right.
Unless you're Sean Doolittle.
Although
Right.
you did, yeah.
Do as I say, not as I do.
But you just do such a good job of teaching them how to pitch to their strengths, get better at their weaknesses at the same time. But like, I think that gets lost, like how hard it is what you're doing. And like, people are like, oh, pitching strategist, just look at the numbers. Like you're grinding. Like,
yeah.
like, do you enjoy it as much as I think you do? Like,
yeah. I really love this job, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to do it. I take it seriously because like these guys come to me with questions, and like they're trusting me with their career in a sense, or at least part of their career path. They're trusting me with that, and I certainly don't take that for granted. So I want them to see me in the trenches with them, so to speak. And I think analytics are certainly one tool that we use, but they're just one tool, right? And it's about connecting with the player in a way that makes things stick, that they can associate easily, remember easily. One thing we say all the time is be great at what you're good at. Know who you are as a pitcher. Know what your strengths are. We're going to sharpen those skills in catch play every day, in the bullpen when you're doing your side work. Because when push comes to shove and the game is on the line and the energy is high, we have to leave room for you to go out there and just compete your butt off. Like there are, maybe as your career goes on as a player, you can think about some of that stuff a little bit more and recall some more information about opposing hitters or something like that. But they check in. I'm in the dugout with them between every inning, and we're refreshing their memory a little bit. But mostly, it's, hey, this is working really well for you today. Like, let's continue to attack. And if you see the hitter do this, and then we go, to one of your secondary, whatever it might be. It's a little bit more general than I think people might think, but I think, at least my hope is that the players trust me with those, when I put things in general terms, that they trust it because they know I've done the work, on the front end, and that it's everything I'm telling them is backed up by information and, time in the video room and stuff like that.
It seems to me, Sean, like there's so many different components that you can utilize to make a guy better. You can talk to them about their own arsenal and what they should throw more or throw less. You can talk to them about the hitters that they're facing and ways to attack that particular hitter. You can talk to them about biomechanics. You can talk to them about pitch grips and pitch shape. How does that not become overwhelming for the player, kind of what Zim is saying, but also for you in your role, that you have all of these tools to know the way to talk to a guy and how to find the right mix between all of those things to get the most out of them?
Well, he went to a great college. So
It's a good start.
I dropped out of a great school.
me too.
I think it comes down to, I appreciate you guys again hyping me up. This is awesome. I think it comes down to like knowing the player and having a relationship with the player, building that trust with them and getting to know maybe what motivates them, or what gives them confidence, maybe what some of their anxieties might be. And then you get to know like the terms that they think in, the cues that they give themselves, what's their internal dialogue. And then you just try to match that with, one of those things that you mentioned. For a lot of guys too, another piece of that puzzle is, the mental approach to the game. And I think we've been able to cover a lot of ground with that with a lot of the guys. So really, like, it's, I think you have to take a holistic approach to this stuff. And that's why when we're talking to a guy about biomechanics, maybe we also loop in the trainers and the strength coaches. And it's like, what does this guy's body naturally want to do? Like, what is he biased towards? What's he naturally good at? Can we harness that? Same thing with a pitch grip. Like, if we're trying to get a specific shape for a guy, what does his hand want to do at ball release? How does the ball come out of his hand naturally? And maybe he shouldn't be hunting a specific shape that he has in mind, but we can lean into what he does really well and get something like this, and then that'll play really well off the rest of his arsenal. So again, there'll be times when a new guy comes over, and you just gotta you can learn a lot by watching, right? And you have to sit and maybe for his first couple bullpens or his live BPs, and maybe even his first outing or two in the game, you're not really so I'm not suggesting things. I'm watching him because I want to learn how he thinks and how he moves and what his process is, and then the more we build that relationship, we can start to dive in.
I remember there was a time last year when you told me that you get more nervous now in your current role than you did when you were playing. And just to remind you and everyone listening, you pitched in World Series games, you closed out games in the NLCS. You pitched in the highest leverage situations that a pitcher can possibly pitch in the game of baseball, and you get more nervous now sitting down on a bench.
Yeah.
You can't control the situation.
That's right. I'm not in control really at all. And I remember we opened up in Cincinnati last year, and I think all three of those games really, especially, I think we went into extras twice in that series, or we had close games. 2 of the 3 were really close.
Yes.
And I was a mess in the dugout, and Davey was like, "You got to calm down,
get it together, man."
Yeah, he was like, "You're not gonna make it, buddy. We got 158 more of these. You're not gonna make it." And afterwards, we were in the clubhouse, kind of just debriefing and talking after the game, and he was calling all the other coaches in. He was like, "Hey, you see this guy? This guy was stressed, bro." And I was just like, "Yeah," because you develop a relationship with the guys, and they've put their trust in you to go out there, and you want them to feel like they're prepared, and you want them to feel like they're ready for whatever happens in the game. And one of the things that I think that drives me as a coach is making sure that we've checked all the boxes and that they feel ready and they're equipped to handle whatever happens during that game, good or bad, that we've gone over it, we've been through it, we've talked about it. And so it's like my sons out there, they're my 13 on the roster. There's 13 of them at a time that, I'm thinking about all the time.
Yeah, I think what you just said, if you check all the boxes and you prepare, it's still nerve-wracking and you want to succeed, but I always thought as a player, even if I failed, obviously I'm going to be upset that I failed, but I can go to bed at night because I knew I did everything possible to prepare.
Yeah.
And then in the big leagues, you're going to win, you're going to lose,
yes.
You're going to, you're going to give up a homer and you're going to strike out people, but you knew in your mind that you couldn't have done anything better to get yourself ready for that moment.
Right.
And then once you're out there,
there's comfort in that.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, I think there's, comfort, or you realize you're going to fail at some point. Nobody never fails, but if you fail and you thought you could have prepared better or done something differently before, then I think that's when it eats at you a little bit. But he prepares these guys so well, and he prepares so well. I think he's almost more invested as them.
Yeah, and we're talking in the dugout between innings, right? And we're making adjustments to the game plan, or maybe we're noticing something is a little bit off mechanically, or something. We're constantly making in-game adjustments, and so for me, it's funny,
crap.
in the moment I'm I have my notes, right? And
wait, did I say change up?
And I'm going through the thing. I'm going through all my notes. I have the iPad, and maybe we're sitting and talking, and I'm like, "Hey, change up's been really good for you today. I know we had talked about this before the game, but hey, that's been there for you, second time through the order, that could be a weapon." And we're going through all these things, and then I'm so I feel great about it, and then the guy goes up the steps, and I'm like, this better work.
Yeah, please don't hang a change up and hit a homer.
This better work, because he get a loud noise, and this doesn't happen, but my concern is that Hickey or Davey would be like, what the heck is he doing? But no, it's been good, and the guys, best thing, they go out there and compete, man, and it's been fun to watch these young guys really buy in and go out there and execute.
All right, I've got a simple question that might have a very complex answer. How in the hell does a guy make the big leagues as a pitcher when that wasn't the skill that got him drafted?
Yeah.
For those who might not be aware, go ahead, tell us.
I got really lucky, man. Like, I pitched in college though, so it like
you did, yes.
So it wasn't like,
but drafted as a position player and focused exclusively as a position player and a hitter through your first how many years in the minors?
I was an athlete, baby.
Well, first of all, you
still
didn't
are.
just pitch in college. You went 11-2 with a 2.39 in 06, 8-3 with a 2.41 in 07, and hit 313, 324, and 301.
With 11 jacks as a freshman.
Yeah. You were basically
I was hitting behind him. They didn't want to pitch to him. They pitched to me, and I was
You were basically Ohtani before Ohtani. You were basically the original Shohei Ohtani.
Shinosuke asked me that.
Did he?
And I was like, very different. I appreciate it.
Did he actually ask you that?
Yes, he did.
That's
yes,
amazing.
He did.
So did he know that you...
No, somehow it came up during one of his workouts. We were talking in the gym, and yeah, somebody said, he was a hitter for like 5 years before he started pitching. And he was like Shohei. And I was like, in theory. Yeah.
Not exactly the same, but yes, I hit and pitched.
Sean Doolittle, the original Shohei.
Yeah.
But like, man, to answer your question, like, I don't know. And like, it was such a whirlwind of an experience for me because, I get drafted in 07. In 2009, I get invited to big league camp, and they tell me straight up in big league camp, because I did really well in 2008. I went to the fall league. I was selected to the Rising Stars game. I come to camp in 09. And actually, that was in itself was a really cool experience because I was taking ground balls at first base with Nomar and Jason Giambi. That was the platoon at first base. And Matt Holliday was there. He was playing right field. So when I got sent down, I was playing well. I wasn't playing regularly because those guys needed at bats. And they said, look, like, the way things work here between, we're probably going to, they told me we're probably going to trade Holliday at the deadline. So when you go down to AAA, learn right field. Like, that could be a path for you. Giambi and Nomar, like, if one of those guys like needs help with basically like playing every day, they were both later in their career, they were like, that's another path for you. Like, I played primarily first base, but they were like, go play right field, and that could be the way that you get to the big leagues. And I go down to AAA. I'm hitting in the middle of the order for the first month of the season, and I blow my knee out. That starts this whole thing. 2009, 2010, I had 2 knee surgeries. 2011, I'm 2 days away from going back to Sacramento. I'm finishing my rehab assignment. I tear a tendon in my wrist. 2011's out of the picture too. So they actually came to me and they were like, do you want to start a throwing program? And I was like, yeah. I was like, that would be really fun. And I had a cast on my arm, so I couldn't catch. I had to have somebody stand next to me and flip me the ball.
So you're like an NFL
yes.
QB.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I learned a really good front side though, because the cast went from my knuckles all the way up past my elbow. So I was like stuck in like a 45-degree angle in the heat in Arizona for the summer. It was so itchy. But like,
I'm just picturing you standing on the mound doing that thing with your...
Well, they wouldn't let me. I could do dry work on the mound, but they would not let me pitch off a mound until I could put a glove on my hand and catch for myself. So that gave me like 8 weeks of just long toss. And I remember the hand surgeon that I was working with was like, you're probably going to need surgery if you're ever going to hit again. And I came out of that doctor's appointment. This was like mid-August of 2011. And I called my agent, and then we called the assistant GM, David Forrest, who's now the GM of the A's. And I was like, I want to switch. And while I still have like passion for the game, I'm running out of passion. Like 3 years, not on the field, rehabbing constantly. Like I'm running out of love for the game. And he was like, all right, let us talk about it internally. He was open to the idea, but he was like, let us, we want to chew on this for a little bit. Cause I was on the 40-man as a position player. And, so I was scheduled to throw a live batting practice session a couple days later in Arizona. And they brought one of our advanced scouts to watch me throw. And he was talking to me after, and he's like, I think you can do it. I'm going to talk to Billy, and I think you can do it. And I was like sick. They called me later that day. They were like, all right, like if you want to do this, you can do it, but understand like you're gonna start in the bus leagues again. You can go, I don't know where we'll start you, but it'll be like one of the A-ball levels next year. You'll be 25 in a league with a bunch of 20-year-olds. I was like, I don't care. Like, give me a uniform. Like, get me back on the field. And then I started 2012. The A's in 2012 opened in Japan against Seattle. I went to Stockton, California to join our high A team. And, 4 weeks, I think it was 3 weeks in Stockton, 4 weeks in AA Midland, Texas, and a week in AAA, and I got called up.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was crazy because it all happened so fast. When I got called up, we were in Tacoma. My car was in Texas. Most of my clothes and everything was still in Texas. And so I got called up, and I had one suitcase. I packed for like a 6-day road trip in AAA. I had to go to I had nothing to wear. Like I went to Gap to get a sport coat. When I got to the Coliseum, they wouldn't let me in because I looked like some kind of like salesman, like Jake from State Farm, like khakis, navy blue blazer, and I didn't have like a Major League Baseball ID, and so like I pulled up to the gate in a taxi, and I was like, I'm here for the baseball. To go to Lot A,
yeah.
And they were like, yeah, right,
yeah,
like
sure,
no chance, and no chance, like, and it took a little while to get in there, but yeah, I got there in June of 2012.
Wow,
pretty cool story right there.
For what it's worth, 4 big league at bats,
5 outs.
Oh,
I grounded a double play. That in itself, that was probably one of the dumbest things I ever did in my career, because we were at Atlanta, and I got brought in to get the last out of the 8th.
Was that with us or?
Yeah, it was with us. It was
2019.
I get brought in to get the last out of the 8th. We were up 5-3, and so we do the double switch, whatever. I get the last out. We start rallying the next inning, and it gets to be bases loaded, 1 out. And Henley was like, you get one. We had a sign that was like, you can swing, basically, the green light, but just for this pitch, only if it's a fastball. Like, there were terms and conditions. But
I used to only try to swing at fastballs.
I worked. I worked the count. The guy threw 3 balls, and eventually, the count is 3-2, 1 out. We're up 5-3 again, and Henley gives me the sign to swing, and I swung, and I barreled this thing straight into the ground, and hit the most tailor-made 6-4-3 double play ball of all time, and I'm like walking back from first base because I'm trying to conserve energy. I didn't really like give it a dead sprint to first, but I was like, man, this sucks. And I'm walking back, and Brian Dozier was on deck. And so, like, he's still standing in the on-deck circle as I'm going down the steps.
I'm just picturing his face.
And he has this grin on his face, and I was just like, I can't believe I did that. And he's looking at me, smiling, shaking his head, and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I messed up. And, like, I was like, I don't know what I did. And so, like, I get in the dugout. I get a sip of water, and I'm like, this just became like one of the most important saves of your career. You killed a rally, and you could have just struck out, and maybe Dozier gets a hit or a homer, and now it's a 4-5 run game instead of a 2-run game. And I had Freeman, some version of Freeman, Donaldson, and Swanson, and maybe Ozuna.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta go. We gotta go. I got it done.
At least you didn't blow out your hammy like Roenis Elias.
Yeah, that was in the back of my mind too.
Man, I like it. Go for it, man. Go for the story. Imagine if you got a hit right there. That's way
That'd
cool.
So sick.
Like, especially with all the backstory.
If you would have just taken a heater down the middle, you would have always wondered, like,
right.
Hey, what
right.
I could have, like, did you get the save?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 4-out save. Are you kidding me?
I mean, I knew the answer. But I just wanted to ask.
So, like,
sure.
Yeah. 4-out save on the road in Atlanta, and that was when we were rolling. Like, we needed every win. So, like, yeah, it was good.
Favorite single pitch you ever threw in your career?
Wow. I was gonna say Game 1 of the World Series in 2019. I came back out. I got the last out of the 8th. I came back out for the 9th, and I struck out Bregman on a fastball away to get the first out.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that was my favorite pitch because I was so nervous, right? And then going back out, like, trying to manage my energy. Bregman was a really tough at bat for me. That was not a great matchup for me. And so to get through that at bat and strike him out, I was like, we got this. And I was like, Game 1 of the World Series, just the situation and the 1-run game and that ballpark being so hitter friendly. And, that one pitch, there's a handful in that run for me. Like the ending to Game 1 of the NLCS against the Cardinals was a high fastball to Ozuna, struck him out on to preserve Anibal's incredible start.
Yep.
There were a few in that run. I'd say the majority of my favorite or most memorable pitches came during that playoff run.
I love it how his favorite pitch is like to strike out Bregman for the first out in the 9th inning. Like, I think that's such good insight for people listening. Like, this guy's closed out so many games. Like, I think fans would, if you asked 100 people, everyone would say a different time that he ended a game.
The last out.
But it just shows you like what we think about as players. Like, he knew his toughest matchup that inning was Bregman.
Yeah.
And coming back out, getting the out in the 8th, having to sit, come back out. Like, in the playoffs, you guys, our bullpen was ridiculous what they did. I mean, these guys did so much more than anyone probably should have had to do, but that was the situation we were in. But like, he knows, and it goes back to his coaching now. Like, he knows that the toughest out for him is the Bregman, that first out of the 9th, because if he gets on, then you feel comfortable about the guys that are coming up. But like, you knew that was his hardest matchup. Like you said, it wasn't a good matchup for you.
No.
So mentally, you knew like, hey, I need to bear down for this guy.
Not that like Yuli Gurriel and Carlos Correa were good matchups for me.
No, but
like my history, I'd played in that division for a long time. I'd seen those guys a lot. Like, I knew Bregman, his swing path, his approach against me was always really good. We'd had some battles. I was like, this is.
Well, it's also a lot easier to face those next two guys with nobody on.
100%.
You can take different chances. You can throw different pitches. Like, if Bregman hits a single or an extra base hit, now it's.
If he hits a single, they're probably pinch running with a super fast guy that they have stashed on their roster. Like, I don't know, maybe not because it's Bregman, but like, but you kind of open Pandora's box.
Changes the whole inning.
Like getting that, like, I mean, they always talk about getting the leadoff hitter is so important, especially late in innings.
Yeah.
But like, I just think it's so cool that was his favorite pitch. Like, nobody would say that.
Yeah. The first out.
I wouldn't even have said that.
Yeah.
But so it's fun to hear how us people think.
Yeah.
We're a different breed.
Yeah.
No
especially
doubt about
lefty relievers.
Yeah. That's on another level.
Yeah.
All right. Sean, thank you for being here with us. We're going to end every interview that we do on this podcast with 5 walk-off questions from Mr. Walk-Off.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
So these will be rapid-fire questions that Zim is going to throw at you, and give us your best shot at an answer.
Yeah.
Do you know what he's going to say?
I do.
All right.
Yeah. Favorite athlete growing up?
Ken Griffey Jr.
I could have guessed that one.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Whose wasn't
I
Ken
know.
Griffey Jr.?
The stance, the backwards hat, the video games. Oh,
Just
my gosh.
oozed cool.
He was so cool.
So cool.
If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you be doing?
That's such a good question. The short answer is I don't know. I don't know. I was a psychology major in college, and I think I would want to do something with that maybe. I think that actually helps me a lot in this job. Sports psychologist maybe, I think.
When is the last time you laughed so hard you cried? I love this face. If you don't have one, you don't have one. But
I can't remember.
Sean's a pretty miserable guy.
He's always in a bad
not a lot
mood.
of
That's not
laughter
because
in his life.
I've been laughing a lot.
No, but laughing hard until you cry is
that's
it usually involves like a group of old friends or someone like you're telling old jokes.
Or just like, what's the funniest thing that has happened to you in the last month that you can remember?
That's not safe for this.
Yeah, I think we're gonna run into that.
Yeah, we probably will. We might need to adjust that question.
All right, that's a good first. We're a good first one. All right, some sort of motto that you live your life by. Like, what do you wake up every day and make sure, like, today, like, I want to, like, if things go bad, this is what I want to think. Like,
This leans into the psychology angle a little bit.
Yeah.
How does Sean Doolittle approach his life?
Man, that's a really good question. I think it's like I try when I'm talking to my guys at the field, one thing I think about a lot is like I try to approach everything from like I try to show compassion in everything that I do. Like I try to relate to them like I'm like on some level like I have a lot of empathy for what they're going through. I can relate to a lot of what they're going through because of my experiences in the game, right? I was good. I got DFA'd. I got hurt a lot. I've been to All-Star games and World Series. Like there's not a whole lot I didn't experience. So, trying to be patient and extend like grace and compassion is probably like is a really big part of like how I approach like my interactions like with my guys every day.
last one, go-to karaoke song.
The first thing that jumped into my mind was Friends in Low Places. I haven't done karaoke in a really long time.
That's a pretty boring answer to be
That
honest
is
with you.
that's like really cliche, I think.
Yeah,
But it is a great karaoke song.
Everybody sings along with you, which helps you. You don't feel like you need to really.
But
air it
I
out.
just haven't done it in a really long time, so I would need to update it.
Yep.
And if I'm thinking about updating it right now, like what do people like right now?
Oh,
I'm not the one. To
What's
answer.
gonna get the people going right now?
what a question.
Like Chapel Roan, Pink Pony Club.
Yeah,
Yes.
Pink
Let's
Pony Club's a
go.
good one.
Let's
That is a good
go.
That's Hayden, my 8-year-old's favorite.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Henry knows it now too. So like we have like an Alexa in the kitchen, and like they know how to use this thing better than
That's
I do.
dangerous.
At least once a day, there's like a group Pink Pony Club sing
Sing-along.
along going in the kitchen.
That's beautiful.
It is.
I love that.
Awesome.
And now the three of us are going to go to a karaoke bar and sing Pink Pony Club together.
I'm in.
Do we have the right? Can we play that as the outro?
I don't think we can.
We don't have the rights to
We
that,
will get
probably.
sued.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we don't want to get you guys. First one.
Yeah,
you
first
know.
one. We could just. It could be the first and last, and we could go out. Worth it.
Yeah, it's so worth it. Sean, thank you so much for being here, man. I say this with all sincerity that it has given me a lot of joy to see you back with us and making such a significant impact on our organization, and to see the joy that you have gotten out of the role. It's really cool, man. It really, really is.
I appreciate that. I love it. I hope people know I love it. I don't want people to think I'm a mascot that just came back.
Like me.
No, but that's just like hanging out with the boys. Like I love grinding with them. Even though Kolko tries to make me laugh when he's in the dugout during the game, and I'm like, Dan, I gotta work, dude.
Big dog, what's up, big dog?
What's up, big dog? That's what I say to him whenever he comes by.
No, but I think I'm a believer in like kind of everything happens for a reason, and like he said, I truly mean this. Like I think you being here with this group of young guys, like the timing, I don't know if the timing could have been any better for
It's meant to be.
for someone like you, like
Yeah.
helping these kids. And like Hick is obviously a great pitching coach. He's been around for a long time, but you and him work together so well because
Yeah.
he's.
I've learned a lot
I say
from
old
him.
school, but like
He's really not.
no, he's not.
Because he was with Tampa when they were
Yeah.
at the forefront of analytics and pitch shapes and stuff.
he adapts and
Yeah.
you have to stay in the
Yeah.
job that he's been in for so long. But I think your personality, your demeanor, and what you do with these young guys, like I think in the long run, and like when you look back at these guys' careers, like it's going to be a blessing that you were there at the beginning. So it's pretty cool to have you back.
That's cool to think about. I appreciate that.
We love you, buddy.
Love you guys too.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Sean Doolittle here with us on the 11th inning, and stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 11th inning. Dan and Ryan wrapping up episode 1 in what we hope will be a long and super fun road for this podcast. We're thrilled that you guys are joining us on this ride. And Ryan, what a great interview with Sean Doolittle, a teammate of yours in college, a teammate of yours on a World Series team, and just so cool to get into his brain and learn about his current role and his favorite memories from his playing days. I
mean, obviously a super talented player and now really good coach.
Yeah.
But just like a special person. And that's what I hope we kind of do in these podcasts is everyone knows who Sean Doolittle is, but I hope today they kind of learned more of who he is as a person. Obviously we talked baseball, had a lot of laughs, but like also got into some stuff that I don't think anyone would have ever asked or talked about. So that's kind of the goal. Do that every episode with a special guest that, maybe I bring on, or you're famous. Maybe you bring on some of your friends.
Z-level famous.
Z-level famous. But, it was, I thought, a great first episode and look forward to many more to come.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. This has been awesome. And thanks to all of you for listening and watching.